Welcome back to the Pro Football Focus Show on NFL Radio Channel 88. Jeff Dooley here alongside Steve Palazzolo. For this next segment, we do this every week at this time. We're going to give you the PFF stats you need to know heading into Week 8 of the NFL season. You ready, Steve?
My favorite segment. Let's do it.
You're going to love this first one. Stat number 1, Patriots QB Tom Brady has an adjusted completion rate of 95% under pressure this season. That is by far the highest rate in the NFL. He's thrown on target on 19 of 20 pressured throws. Now, this is obviously a very small sample size here, but even that is an unbelievable number. Steve, explain this for us.
Yeah, it's a crazy number. Again, we're just taking plays under pressure, and our adjusted completion percentage essentially gives the quarterback credit for passes that are dropped. It eliminates throwaways and passes when they're just hit while throwing. The ball pops up in the air. They're not really controlling.
Just filters this out. So it doesn't punish the QB for drops, throwaways, and so just on those throws, how many was he on target for? And in this case, it's 19 of 20 when under pressure.
19 of 20. Last year, he actually set our PFF record for the most touchdowns while throwing under pressure. That dates back to 2006. So he's continued strong work under pressure. He's just been outstanding so far this season, throwing the deep ball better, as I mentioned in the first segment. The accuracy's been outstanding. And then the other thing that he's done so far this year, he leads as far as percentage of big-time throws, my favorite stat, those special downfield throws.
You invented that stat.
I invented it. I took our grading, invented this thing. He's leading that, and he's also got the lowest percentage of turnover-worthy throws. And usually if you're good at those two things, you're going to grade well, you're going to have a good season, and that's why Brady's got this ridiculous passer rating, off to an outstanding start. The defenses should get a little bit more difficult, as he did tear apart the Browns, Bengals, and Steelers. Those are good matchups for him, but got to give him credit. Great start and handling pressure extremely well.
It's Buffalo this weekend. I think I need my own stat. You've got big-time throws.
You got to work on it.
Turnover-worthy plays.
I've been here a few more years than you, so you'll find one.
You're an innovator.
Sam created a elusive rating. Sam Monson, elusive rating.
It's the first Monson shout-out of the show. Stat number 2, Steve. Colts quarterback Andrew Luck has a passer rating of 128.8 on deep attempts this year. That's second best in the NFL, and he currently ranks number 2 in PFF quarterback grades, behind only Tom Brady. Steve, is Luck finally a top 5 NFL QB?
So far, he is. In part because I don't think that the quarterback play is great so far this season, and he's there. But for years we were against all of the people who were saying Andrew Luck's already a top 5 quarterback. We're saying now he's kind of on the cusp of top 10. But if you're looking at the NFL quarterbacks right now, Aaron Rodgers is down. Carson Palmer was one of the top guys last year. He's not even close to the same ballpark. Russell Wilson's been banged up and down. Right now, and Roethlisberger's hurt. Right now, Andrew Luck is a top 5 quarterback. And is he flying under the radar right now?
I think he is.
Is that even possible? As overhyped as he's been throughout his career?
It's like, so in fantasy football, there's a term, the post-hype sleeper, which is the guy who gets super hyped up, and then he doesn't play well, and then the next season, everyone's forgotten about him, but that's actually the season to draft him because he's a value. I kind of feel like some of that's going on here with Luck because it was such a, heading into last season, and we caught a lot of heat for it. We had him, entering the season, we had him at number 11, I think.
Right.
And
he played like number 36.
Yeah, he ended the season, he was banged up for some of it. When he did play, he played really, really poorly, and I think everyone sort of just like maybe calmed the expectations a little bit for Luck. This year he is playing awesome. Maybe it's hidden a little bit in the 3-4 start, but that's not his fault. Most pressured quarterback in the league. What he's done has been really impressive.
He's been outstanding. So the big knock on him for me was he would make those special throws. He would make those big-time throws through the years, but he'd always put the ball in harm's way. He'd always try to fumble when he was in the grasp, when he was under pressure. He'd misread a coverage, which you didn't expect from him coming out because he was supposed to be this Peyton Manning, Tom Brady clone who never misread coverages. So I always felt like there were too many turnover-worthy plays. He's actually one of the best in the league at protecting the ball this season. He's actually top 9 at protecting the ball when he used to be more in that 20 range. So that's a huge part of his game. You mentioned the deep ball passer rating, threw a beautiful post in stride, about 45, 50 yards in the air for a touchdown on Sunday. So I love the strides that Luck is making, but he's flying under the radar because of the record, because the offensive line is getting him killed. But keep an eye on Luck. He's maybe starting to live up to that crazy hype that he came into the NFL with.
I think they had the rough loss against Houston a couple weeks back, but I really think Indianapolis still has a very good shot. has a very good shot in that division, in part because of the next stat I'm gonna read for you. Stat number 3, Brock Osweiler's passer rating under pressure this season is 26.1.
Oof.
Now, as we always like to say, Steve, if you just throw the ball into the dirt on every play, you get a 39.6.
Come on, Brock, just throw it away.
So that is obviously the worst number in the league among quarterbacks under pressure. And following the loss to Denver, he currently ranks dead last in the NFL in PFF quarterback grades. Are the Texans in trouble with Osweiler?
Yeah, I kind of came out of the game last week feeling bad for Brock. I mean, he's going up against Denver's defense.
That's just that tall guy empathy.
Yeah, he's 6'7",
6'10",
man.
Steve Palazzolo, 6'7", Brock Osweiler.
It's not easy being this tall. You hit your head a lot. It's tough to throw objects accurately. I know that too from my minor league baseball career.
Shopping for clothes.
Oh my God, bigshoes.com. It's the only place I can find shoes. It's not easy. I don't have the same selection. And poor Brock can't figure out his mechanics. He's just all over the place. Now he's misreading coverages. He used to at least be able to misread coverages and then miss a throw. Stop checking out my shoes.
Stealing a look at your loafers there.
They're all right. I have a limited selection. But I came out feeling bad for Brock because he just looks like a guy that was overpaid and is a little over his skis right now. I don't know if he's prepared to carry a franchise. Inconsistent accuracy-wise, now making bad decisions and forcing the ball to DeAndre Hopkins. It's just been ugly so far for Brock and unfortunate for the Texans because it's just not looking good.
I think some of it was probably a little unfair. At no point in his NFL career, and it's been a limited one, he was on the bench behind Peyton Manning. At no point has he proved that he can play at above just an average level. That's how we graded him last year. He was sort of in the low 20s. For the games he was in, and then obviously they ended up going with a limited Peyton Manning over him for the stretch run, for the playoff run, ultimately winning the Super Bowl. So you put that big dollar sign next to him, the expectations are going up. So far, not so good for the Texans. I think the Colts still have a chance in that division, even with some of those.
I think the Colts do, yeah.
Those other
Brock can carry
flaws.
that roster.
Stat number 4, Steve, the Seattle Seahawks rank 32nd in the NFL in pass blocking grades so far this season. Now, they also rank dead last in run blocking grades this season.
Not good.
Now, I know it seems like every week I ask you the same question, but with Russell Wilson banged up this year, he's dealing with the injured ankle. Is this finally the year that Seattle's O-line issues catch up to them?
I mean, it depends on what we're calling catch up. I mean, are they going to make the playoffs? I think so. They didn't win the Super Bowl last year, so maybe did it catch up to them at some point last year, losing to Carolina along the way? Absolutely. So I look at Seattle as playing with fire every year with this offensive line, where Seattle fans like to tell us, well, they're athletic and they did invest, they draft all these guys, but either way, they're not a talented offensive line. We saw them get crushed against Arizona, and then the fact that they have a poor run blocking unit, which they have had the last few years. But the difference there has been Marshawn Lynch, who no running back in the last 10 years runs through contact like Marshawn Lynch. So when you're getting contacted in the backfield, you need the best running back at running through contact, and that's what Marshawn Lynch brought to that offense. But also just the Russell Wilson run threat. We had an NFL head coach in here talking today. We were talking about the zone read. He's like, teams will run it twice a game, but it looks like they're running it 30 times a game. That was Seattle. He would pull once or twice, but it was just enough to keep the defense honest. It takes one defender out of the play. And the fact that Russell Wilson is banged up and might not be the same run threat puts a lot more pressure on the offensive line. So now if you miss blocks, you're not going to have an effective running game. So it is affecting them. It's a big negative right now. I do trust Russell Wilson, though, to be able to carry that team. It's going to be difficult this season, though.
I think the ankle injury, it sort of merits attention. There's definitely his numbers on design runs. That run element for Wilson is definitely a factor. Stat number 5, Steve, we mentioned this guy at the top of the show. Chandler Jones has generated 37 pressures on opposing quarterbacks this season. That is the most of any edge defender this year. Now, that includes sacks, hits, and hurries. And he currently ranks number 1 in pass rush grade at his position. And he's grading higher overall this season than he ever did with New England. What do you make of Jones's season so far? And that defense in Arizona, is that keeping them in playoff contention in the NFC?
First off, the defense absolutely is. When you have Chandler Jones on one side, you have Marcus Golden on the other side, you have Calais Campbell on the interior. That's 3 legitimate pass rushers. You do not see that around the NFL. Teams like the Seahawks have it, but your best teams in the NFL can roll 3 deep with pass rushers. The fact that they're doing that is incredible. Then guys like Patrick Peterson, Tyrann Mathieu on the back end. Just get Carson Palmer playing average football again, and they're a good team. They're a dangerous team. But Jones, we talked about it in the first segment, it's a different defense that he's playing in. That New England would game plan differently, have him play 5 tech one game, have him play out at the 7. So, he's either taking on tackles in the run game or he's rushing off the edge of the next week.
And 5 tech, so that's like a 3-4 defensive end.
Yeah, exactly. So that's more of like an interior pass rush type of position. They let him rush against guards, which he did a nice job of. But they moved him around so much. Maybe he didn't always get into a rhythm as a pass rusher. Plus, they like to play contained, and they bang a tight end every now and again, so it's slow as pass rush. Arizona's unleashing him. He's got great hands as a pass rusher, and he's really showing it. So, been very impressed with Jones. I think he's always had this pass rush skill, but he's always graded as a solid pass rusher. Now he's one of the league's best. We'll see if he can keep it going, but hey, it's a career year so far.
That is a really, really good Arizona defense. They're certainly still in the mix in the playoff picture in the NFC. Steve, we're going to take another break. Coming up, we'll dive more into Week 8 in the National Football League and tonight's game. But first, let's get you updated with everything happening around the NFL with the 2-minute drill.